Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to the Letters and Layers podcast. Welcome to any new listeners and thank you for listening. This is your host, Amaka. It is Tuesday morning, October 29th when I'm recording in the 8 o'clock hour. I woke up not too long ago and for some reason had the urge to just proclaim that it's going to be a good week. I know we are well into the week. It's Tuesday, but Tuesdays are officially when my work week starts. So I was like, you know what? It's going to be a good work week. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. Everything is going to work out. And we will end this week on a high note. Every so often, I just feel moved to kind of just proclaim that earlier in the week. And this time around, I felt the urge. So I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a good work week. Even if there are some challenges here and there, I can figure things out. I can overcome them. I can solve problems. I am capable. Sometimes you just have to speak those affirmations, honestly. And it gets you in the right mindset and you have the right attitude as far as expectations go. So, how have I been doing? I've been doing good. I cannot complain, honestly. Just getting mentally ready for the holiday season. I haven't traveled much over the last couple of months, which is normal. I mean, I have periods where I'm kind of moving around and going here and there every couple weeks. But like the last 2.5 months, I have stayed put. I've been in Chicago. That's about to change though, from like next week up to end of January or like mid-January. Gonna go visit family, traveling for Thanksgiving, traveling for Christmas, going abroad in January. And honestly, that's not even really counting my travel that I'll be doing like the first quarter of 2025. So things are revving up and I'm excited, but just trying to get mentally prepared. I do tend to enjoy the holiday season and, you know, I'm looking forward to spending time with family on the East Coast, family in Texas, friends, catch up with my people who are in New York, and it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. I, for one, cannot believe that November is this Friday. And I, for one, cannot believe how fast this year has gone. I know everyone experiences time differently, and I might have said this on a previous episode, but 2024 has been the fastest year for me ever. For me, it was like I blinked and we were at the next month and blinked again and we were at the next month. And just like, I think there was one time like I said out loud, God, please slow down time because what is happening? But yeah, here we are approaching November. Holidays are here and I'm hopeful it'll be a great end of the year and winter season for me, and I'm hoping the same for all of my listeners. I believe I briefly mentioned on the last original episode, the one before this one was a rewind, but on my, or maybe I did, maybe in the intro on my rewind, I mentioned this. I got braces for the second time earlier this month. I believe it was the 10th. And today's the 29th. So it's been about 2.5 weeks now, almost 3. I got braces for the first time in middle school, I believe. Primarily because my 2 front teeth on my top row, one slightly overlaps the other. Sometimes you can't really see it, but you know, I'm aware of it. So that was the main reason why I got them in middle school. As accurately as I can remember, my bottom row was completely straight. Didn't really have any issues there. It was the top row that needed attention. So I got the braces. I had them in for quite a while. a few years and then got them removed. Everything was fine. Over time, the overlapping slowly came back, which honestly doesn't really bother me. So I wasn't worried about it, or concerned. What started concerning me was much later when I lived in the DMV. My wisdom teeth started to emerge and I could feel the movement on my bottom row particularly. It was a little painful and I could feel my row shifting. So not long after that started happening, I booked an appointment, got my wisdom teeth pulled. And this is like 2015, 2016. But since then, my bottom teeth have continuously shifted. Like every few months, I feel a notable movement in the lower area of my mouth. And there is significant misalignment with my front bottom 4 or 5 teeth. Nothing too crazy. Like if we're talking, you might notice it. But I must admit, have gotten particularly self-conscious about it. And I really don't want something like that to like hold me back from being completely myself, from, talking to people and, things like that. So shout out to my mom because she has had some misalignment with her teeth her whole life. Not necessarily the straightness of it, more so like having like an open bite. And she got braces earlier this year and she's almost 60. And I was so proud of her. My mom is definitely that type of person where age is just a number. If she wants to do something for herself, aesthetically or otherwise, she'll do it. And I had been thinking about getting braces again for a while, but like seeing her, like, she told me, oh, I think I'm going to have a consultation. And I was like, okay, good. And then I didn't really think much of it until she called me and was like, hey, I got the braces. I was like, whoa, really? And then the next time after that I went to see her in Texas, I saw her with it and I was like, oh my God, you look so cute. And it made me just take the idea for myself more seriously. And, there are folks who get braces for a second time in their life because they have like new issues they want to address and things like that. So I wasn't scared or anything. I was more just like, oh, I remember the first week of my braces being installed when I was a teenager and how painful it was. Couldn't even bite down on food. Couldn't even completely close my jaw. Like it was so painful. So, that's kind of what I was thinking about. But I wanted the outcome of the braces more than I cared about the pain. So having had my mom do it and follow through, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to, start making steps toward making this a reality. So I booked a consultation and then I got my braces like 4 months later. And it would have been sooner, but I had to do some kind of like dental work, cleanings and, x-rays, things like that, just to make sure my teeth were okay to have braces installed. So I was actually hoping to have these installed over the summer, but things took a little bit longer. That's okay. And yeah, here we are. I have my top row installed right now and I already see a difference. It's been a couple weeks. My braces look straighter than they did when I first got them installed. The pain wasn't that bad this time, but only because I was taking pain relievers. I still couldn't really bite down. I couldn't bite down on my food for the first 5 or 6 days, maybe even up to a week. I had to eat softer foods. I had to just be a lot more careful, but it still feels more like it's a natural part of my oral area, like my mouth area now. It doesn't feel as foreign as it did a couple weeks ago, which is good. And I only got my top row because my orthodontist wanted to align my top row first before putting on my bottoms, which I was a little disappointed about, because I could live with my top row as is, even with the slight overlap on my two front teeth. I'm okay with it, but they said because of the misalignment of the bottom, if they put both rows at the same time, the braces would be touching, or the teeth. I don't know. I forget what they said, but there's a certain type of impact that I would be sustaining if the braces were installed on both rows at the same time, and they wanted to avoid that. So hopefully I will get my bottom rows, if not next month, probably December, not even November, probably December. And yeah, we will for real be off to the races, because the reason why I decided to get braces for the second time is really to correct the misalignment on my bottom row. That is what is my primary issue. But I'm willing to wait. And patience is a virtue sometimes. I'm willing to wait. And my top teeth are looking better. I do like how things are coming along. So yeah, that is what's going on. That's probably the major thing that's happened over the last couple weeks. The day of the braces installation, I was really nervous. I don't quite know why. And I sent a voice note to one of my good friends, and I was like, I'm getting my braces in today. And I'm really nervous, and I'm sending you this voice note because I just want someone to know exactly what's happening, because I had to go to the appointment by myself. It was in the middle of the day, and every people have work and things like that, so I kind of had to brave it on my own. But yeah, I sent her that voice note. I was like, I'm nervous, but I think it's partially because I wish someone could go with me to the appointment, but I'll be okay. I just want you to know that this is what's happening over the next couple of hours. So she got back to me not too long after, and encouraged me, and I think it really helped me get through that first day. And the day of the braces installation, I had a concert to go to that evening. A friend of mine invited me to the Chicago stop of the Maxwell, Jasmine Sullivan, and October London tour. And when I agreed to go, I totally forgot that I was getting my braces in that day. And I was like, oh no, I overbooked. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to feel once the braces are installed. I would hate to have to cancel. And I sent that in the voice note too to my friend. She was like, no, you're just kind of having the scaries right now. You'll be fine. Once you're out, take your medicine, just be mindful of how you're feeling. And if you have to take pain relievers prophylactically, it's okay. Go and have a good time. And I did. Thankfully, I felt fine. Honestly, the discomfort didn't really set in until the next day. And I had the appointment on Thursday, and I took Friday off from work too, because I just didn't know how I would feel. And I think I made the right decision about that. So I felt well enough to go to the concert with my friend, and I had a great time. So there you go. I am living the life of braces for the foreseeable future. My orthodontist says I'll probably have them in for 24 months. So naturally, for me, I am wondering where I will be in life when my braces are taken out. It's a very interesting thought exercise. I'm like, where will I be when I'm going for my braces removal appointment? Will I still be in Chicago? Will I have a kid? What will my life look like? It's so me to think that way. But yeah, things are good with it now. No real complaints. Just have to be more diligent about my oral care, which is good anyway. And I am looking forward to the overall outcome in the next couple of years. Last weekend was 4 weeks with my micro-locs. So they're not locks yet, but the twists are starting to look a little bit more fuzzy. They're starting to look a little bit more uniform. I got my retie last Saturday, my first retie, which was exciting. And even with it being 4 weeks, I already see a difference. There's like a thicker quality to the hair. It looks a little bit longer, just like in the slightest. It just settles on my shoulders without much trouble anymore. And it did when I first got them, but it's like significantly more so now. I'm so excited to have done this for myself. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth it for me. I literally just wake up, take off my bonnet. I have my bonnet on right now though, because we're not doing video or nothing. I have my bonnet on right now, but I can literally just wake up, take off my bonnet, shake out my hair, find my part, maybe spray a little bit of water. And if I'm leaving the house, I'm out the door, or I'm starting my day, getting to work. Literally don't spend more than 5 minutes on my hair a day, unless I'm just looking in the mirror at it because I love how it looks so much. But yeah, I don't know. I guess, getting my locks done, getting my braces installed, for some reason, the latter half of this year, I've been wanting to just put more focus on my appearance, and that's totally okay. I feel like if you make effort with how you look, people perceive it in different ways. People may think it's superficial or shallow, that's all that matters to you, but that's not how I see it. I feel like I've been thinking about this just more recently. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with caring how you look. I've always kind of cared, but I feel like there's a level that I know I could get to as far as, just enhancing my appearance, and if you feel good about how you look, your confidence is up there. You are confident to do things that maybe you would have second guessed yourself about. It can do wonders, honestly. And not that I had a problem with how I looked in the past, but everyone has things that they're a little bit self-conscious about, or things that maybe they feel uninspired about. Like, that's partially why I decided to lock my hair up. I was like, my hair is perpetually in a bun. I rarely do anything with it. It has length, it has volume. It's very beautiful, but I'm just uninspired. So honestly, even though it costs quite a bit of money to get them installed, I was like, you know what? The money is just it. That's just it. It's just money. If it's going to afford me more convenience, but still be able to look a way that I like and feel confident in, and my hair is able to flourish, then I will spend the money, And I wasn't even thinking about this or really seeking this out, but I get compliments quite often now about the hair, and who doesn't like compliments, So I'm encouraging folks, if you want to spend a little bit more time or make certain enhancements on your look or your appearance, if you believe wholeheartedly it will help you feel better about yourself, within reason. Even plastic surgery, I have no qualms or reservations about. I know people personally who've gotten plastic surgery and are happy with their results. I don't know. I'm not there yet in any way, shape, or form. Maybe my mind will change after kids. Who knows? But as far as enhancing my appearance at this juncture, it's just certain parts of myself that I know if I just pay more attention to it and do what I need to do, there's really no downside to it for me. And I'm pretty secure in myself already, but everyone has those things that they're like, oh, maybe I should put a little bit more care into this or this. So yeah, I say all that to say, don't feel shame or don't care about what people will think if you want to make certain enhancements or just put more care into certain pieces of your appearance. If you know that it's going to help you feel more confident in yourself and, out in the world, then by all means, go for it. So I'll keep you guys updated on how things are going with the locks and the braces and everything. And yeah, I wanted to talk briefly about Tia Mowry's new show, My Next Act. I've talked about Tia on the podcast maybe once or twice. Like, she's like one of the Instagram accounts that I love to follow, and I would love to interview her one day. Like, you just never know. She's just one of those people that has like a persona that just seems really genuine. Like, she just seems to me like she is who she puts out to be. People's outwardly persona may be vastly different than who they really are, and I don't get that impression. What I get is that she is who she is on social media and off. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So when I saw that she was premiering a reality show around her life post-divorce, I was like, oh, I would be interested in watching it. So I've watched the first couple of episodes. I'll probably keep up until it finishes. And I just wanted to say a couple things. I think it's worth watching. You could definitely tell that she is making sure she is spearheading the narrative, around her life, around her family. She's not letting anyone tell her story about who she is and what she's gone through after her divorce from Corey Hardrick. I really appreciate that she has moments on the show where she is completely vulnerable and open, particularly when like she's doing those video diaries and it's just her in her room and she's just kind of talking through how she's feeling and processing things, whether it's like what happened that day or just in general with what's gone on. I appreciate the openness in that way. She made a statement when she was doing one of her like sit down interviews on the show about how she didn't know she had a choice to kind of just be herself. And it just made me wonder, like, to what degree did she feel like she had to in her marriage conceal who she really was, or not completely be herself, or maybe talk herself out of certain things or certain opportunities or just ways of expressing herself because of her relationship. And I don't know that that's talked about enough, and this is coming from someone who's happy in their relationship. You have to be intentional with making sure you're still in tune with yourself. Because if you're not, if the self-awareness isn't there, you will give and give and give to everyone around you. And you will look at yourself and not recognize yourself. You got to really be intentional about that. So I wonder, to what degree is that true in her experience? Is that something that was a thing, or, I'm just curious, I'll never know, but I'm just wondering, because I'm sure it's a common experience with women in relationships, committed relationships, marriages. If you're not really in tune with yourself and intentional with your actions on a day-to-day basis, you can start to easily talk yourself out of doing certain things or expressing yourself in a certain way because you're thinking of yourself more as a unit and not as an individual. And I don't talk about my relationship in detail on this podcast, and that's intentional. But one thing I will say is it has been a priority for me in my marriage so far, and even before we got married, to always stay in tune with myself and be aware and intentional about, prioritizing myself and my desires and my interests. And in the event that I am trying to talk myself out of something that I want to do, or a way or means in which I want to express myself, I got to make sure it's not because of my partner. I got to make sure it's because I maybe don't want to do it in that way. Or maybe there's some, additional thought. I just don't think it's the right decision. But quite often I have to go through that process, in my mind. Am I deciding against this because I really don't want to do it after all, or because of my relationship in some form or fashion? And I think that, honestly, that helps with I think that's one component that keeps a relationship healthy and going, because you make it a point to continue to nurture the dynamic between you two, but at the same time, you make sure to also prioritize what makes you happy. And I just wonder for her, did she kind of lose sight of that at some point while married? Was it harder to hear her internal voice? I'm just curious. So yeah, that was kind of the main thing I took from the first couple episodes. She talks a lot about how she really doesn't have much experience dating a lot of people. She started dating. She got permission from her parents to start dating at 18. I think, and then met Corey at 20, I think. And, they were together and got married and had been together. So I think she said that relationship, like as far as before and after marriage, was like 20 plus years, like 22 years. That is a long time. I would even venture to say, like, she was in a relationship with him longer than she was an individual herself, if the math is right. And I hope I'm remembering this accurately. And I think about that every so often too. Like, I do the math in my head and I'm like, have I been in this relationship longer than I've been an individual? And it's still yes. No, it's still no. I've still been my own person. I've still been my own person longer than I've been part of a unit. That will change eventually. But I don't know, just kind of being aware of that, having that in the back of my head is interesting. So yeah, I'm going to keep up with the show. I really like the approach that they're taking. I would say it's definitely a higher quality reality show. There's no like craziness or stupidity when it comes to those other type of trashy shows. It's really just her. She's taking the reins. She's telling her story. She's sharing the people in her life that have been there to support her through this time. And I wish her all the best. I wish her all the best, truly. So I am going to round out this episode by just talking briefly about the next chapter in All About Love, called Greed, Simply Love. Is chapter 7. The biggest themes for me in this chapter is just the lack of, and this is something I feel like we've been talking about off and on as we've been covering this book, just how much people lack and desire connection and are struggling and suffering from lack of community and loneliness. And this chapter touches on how that lack and that desire and that yearning for community and social networks and support is exploited by the society that we live in to consume more. Because in an effort to solve that problem, whether individually or collectively, we are looking for a bandage or a salve or just something to soothe how we feel. And people often turn to material things because that is something that is easily accessible. It's something that does help in the moment for a short period of time. You buy something at the store, it's new, there's a sense of novelty there, there's a dopamine hit that you experience. It may last a day or two and then it fades. Or you order something online and the anticipation of receiving it builds up, finally reaches your doorstep, you open it, you see it with your own eyes, you touch it, you wear it or turn it on or whatever it is, and you get that dopamine hit and it lasts for however long and then it fades. And it is an effective secondary means of kind of soothing the pain of the loneliness and lack of social connection and community, but it doesn't do it forever. And over time, you're continuously seeking that feeling so that you're not feeling the negative part of it, and it can go downhill, it can spiral, it can get to the point where it becomes an addiction of sorts. And that's kind of, where greed comes in to a degree. I want to particularly quote one page in the chapter. It is page 114. It is the first full paragraph. It pretty much takes up the whole page. So it reads, "This same politics of greed is at play when folks seek love. They often want fulfillment immediately. Genuine love is rarely an emotional space where needs are instantly gratified. To know genuine love, we have to invest time and commitment. As John Wellwood reminds us in Journey of the Heart, The Path of Conscious Love, dreaming that love will save us, solve all our problems, or provide a steady state of bliss or security only keeps us stuck in a wishful fantasy, undermining the real power of the love, which is to transform us. Many people want love to function like a drug, giving them an immediate and sustained high. They want to do nothing, just passively receive the good feeling. In patriarchal culture, men are especially inclined to see love as something they should receive without expending effort. More often than not, they do not want to do the work that love demands." And then earlier in the chapter, this might even be the first page. I don't know why I didn't do this first, but it's okay. Actually, the first couple of sentences in the chapter, it starts, "Although we live in close contact with neighbors, masses of people in our society feel alienated, cut off, alone. Isolation and loneliness are central causes of depression and despair." And then further down on the first page of the chapter, she writes, "Intense spiritual and emotional lack in our lives is the perfect breeding ground for material greed and overconsumption. In a world without love, the passion to connect can be replaced by the passion to possess. While emotional needs are difficult and often are impossible to satisfy, material desires are easier to fulfill." So what I just read right now after the previous quote is pretty much what I was saying. So many people are struggling with loneliness and isolation and lack of social support and community. And it is so much easier to just buy things, to just overconsume, to kind of disassociate in that way and forget the yearning and the lack that they are feeling when it comes to love, when it comes to interpersonal connection. And as far as the first quote goes that I read, I think it's also important too to highlight the fact that building a community and social support and love in the way that this is defined takes time. And our society, American society is what I'm referring to, has just been transformed so much to have people expect things come so quickly and so intensely. The concept of waiting is non-existent. The concept of having patience, of letting things grow, of letting things build over time, of doing the work, of waiting for the results and the necessary outcome is made harder and harder and so much less appealing to people because of the way that our culture is so geared on instant gratification that even if someone is open to kind of doing things differently, they have to get over the challenge of wanting the change in that moment, right then and there. There's so much in life that is worth having, but you're not going to be able to get right away. Like, you have to be committed to the work. And if you are going from a place of constantly being satisfied instantly or gratified instantly to a place of taking the long way or taking an approach that really takes time to kind of bear or yield fruit, you have to transform how you see things and how you and your expectations around when you're going to see results and when you're going to see things change. Like the quote said, people want love, but a lot of people's definitions of love in this day and age is so distorted because they think that it's something that either should come quickly, should develop quickly, that doesn't need time to grow and mature, and or it is something that they don't really have to work too hard for. It should kind of just come to them with very little effort. And genuine, true, authentic love in any or many of its forms just doesn't work that way. Building love with a significant other truly takes time, years. Building connections and community takes time, months, years. And if you're one who wants to kind of make that transition from constantly getting things immediately and being gratified instantly, it's definitely a mental shift. The reward is worth it, but there is definitely work to do there. And I do appreciate this concept being highlighted in this chapter because, you know, a lot of it just goes back to awareness, which is a theme of this podcast off and on. If you're not aware that you are constantly seeking instant gratification, then you're going to have a hard time with the process you're going to have to go through to really start experiencing real love in whatever form you're seeking it in. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that quickly before the end of the episode. We are slowly making our way through the book. I think we have maybe 6 chapters left. I don't think I will finish it before the end of 2024, but we'll definitely finish within the first couple months of the new year. I think this is where I'll end the episode. I want to thank you guys for continuing on this journey with me with this book. Looking forward to continuously, reading the other chapters, sharing my thoughts. I am reading a couple of other books too, trying to kind of formulate a plan going into 2025 of what I would love to cover. I'm always open to suggestions, and I appreciate you guys, as always. Thank you so much. Thank you for the support. Please share, please recommend, please send to your friends and family if this episode or past episodes think they would enjoy. Please reach out to me at amaka_ag, at amaka_ag on Instagram, and my email contact at thelettersandlayers.com. Please rate, please review on the platform that you are listening from. And once again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye.